All right, welcome to Awake with Jevon. We are discovering guides that point the way. And of course, my name is Jevon Pera, and I have a wonderful guide here today. And I'm going to butcher this beautiful Polish name. So the English version is Robert Drymajlo. Drymajlo. That's the English butchered version. Grace me with the Polish correct version.
Thanks, Jevon. There's a 50 euro legitimately in my wallet for the first English speaking person who says my name correctly.
I did.
You did not
I didn't.
win.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it.
That's after 5 minutes of practicing too. Drymajlo.
Yeah, that's close enough. Thank you.
Uh, okay, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
with Robert.
yeah, sounds good to me.
Oh, good. So thank you so much for meeting with me, and thank you so much also just for your presence in the world and doing the work that you do. My my hope is to connect people with healers, right? So awake for me is people becoming awake of the resources that we have to really start to embody this wholeness that we have available. This wholeness that we have available, it's already there available for us. I would call that healing. And you do a work that has to do with letting go, uh, and your power to let go.com, and I'll put some of this information up. And I'm hoping that you tell me a little bit about your 15 years of this letting go practice, and what it is to let go, and what the benefit is for people.
Sure. By the way, first I would like to begin with thanking you for inviting me. Um, it's my honor to be your first guest, and I
Yes,
hope,
this is my
and
first.
I do hope that your podcast will become a great success.
Yes, well, it
Uh,
already is because you're here.
oh my God, my ego is like, you know.
Where are you at? Tell us all where you're at right now. Where are you sitting?
So right now I am sitting at my home office, kinda at home, which I built at home
What country?
uh, in Ireland. In Ireland.
Fantastic.
I am of Polish origin, but I moved out from Poland about uh, 15, 16, something like this years ago. And my first country I moved to was Scotland, actually. Um, yeah,
Excellent.
and that was the place where I was first introduced to letting go, because my life was so miserable. If it wouldn't be for letting go, for the method of letting go, I probably would not be here today. And I say this with you know, with the, no, it's truth. It's truth. I wouldn't be here.
So for starters, this is good for anybody who's miserable.
Well, I was more than miserable at the time. I managed to screw my life quite significantly, and that was a good thing, because if it wouldn't be for this, then I would never look for any methods to get it better. Um, I was in denial of any sort of external help at the time, because of stigma on any sort of mental illness, and so on and so on. Um, my problem was that I was very depressed, um, and I was looking for a way out of this depression.
Hmm.
And um, and so one day I went online and I tried to look for some books on the topic. And back then, NLP was all the rage. By the way, the letting go method that I'm using right now has nothing to do with NLP, but you know, but I went through this journey where I was looking for methods to help myself. And as I was reaching this absolute ceiling of each method, I would go on a search. and look for another method. And so over the course of 15 years, I've tested dozens of different methods, and yeah, and that gave me a lot of experience. Um, Now I know what works, what doesn't work. I know um, what method works for what kind of
Mhm.
problem, and that's a good thing.
So
Yeah.
what's the end result of uh, of the letting go method? I mean, what are you helping people get to or achieve or acquire, or what happens
Sure.
when we let
So
go?
I mean, at this point, there's like 15 years ago, everybody talked about NLP, and that wasn't for me. But these days, the word mindfulness is a big one. I actually like mindfulness, because being mindful is just staying with the emotion and just waiting for it to run out, just like our great teacher David Hawkins explained.
Hmm.
And that's one of the methods of letting go, but there are more methods of letting go. And as I was going through my journey of discovery, I found many different methods of surrender. Mm, and then um, roughly 3 years ago, I through just series of coincidences, I started combining them, and I came up with some good method. Well, I came up is not actually the word, because there's a whole story about the method that I'm using today. But it's a summary of all my experiences that I had with letting go. I was blessed with, as I like to call it, an SOB of an ego.
Uh-huh.
You know, it was it was a beast. Wasn't wasn't easy to tame at all. It was a beast, kind of, sort of speak, and you know starting this, I don't know, like maybe I could call it a game on a hard mode,
Uh-huh.
is was challenging, but luckily I had good teachers along the way who helped me out at the time, and I'm blessed to have these teachers. Um, and so after 15 years of learning and testing, I finally thought, why not do this for other people?
Yeah. So my experience, you gifted me with a session which was very lovely. And my experience was, there were you walked me through different visualizations, and the images and the visuals that I got, I'm the one who assigned the images. So you were open, as in, like, uh, are you're asking me the questions, am I willing to let go of this thing that I want to let go, right? So we start with somebody who is in a place where they have something that they'd like to let go, right? Was it fear or pain? Maybe they don't even know where the pain is coming from. Maybe it's emotional, maybe it's physical. I mean, it could be any of that. And then your letting go process helps us to isolate it, or put it, the energetic form in an image, so that we can work with that and let it go, which insinuates that we actually are carrying it and holding on to this thing that we think we don't want, and we're the culprit, right, that's holding it on. Do you think that's accurate? Is this a good, really 10,000 foot view of what we did?
Well, the method itself, it addresses what I call collectively a content of the mind,
Uh-huh.
or a mind's stuff. And what is the mind stuff? It is just whatever mind picked up along the way. The mind learned it because it was useful at the time. And how does the mind learn, and how does the mind stores information? That is interesting question, because when I ask you about something, for example, a certain belief that a person may have, I would ask if this belief had a symbol, then what would be the symbol of that belief?
Mm-hmm.
And the person can instantly, you know, close their eyes and tell me, okay, I see that this belief is represented by such and such mental shape that I see. And then I would ask, okay, so um,
We'll
if
say
that
a ball
symbol,
of light
well, suppose, yeah,
or
and then I
whatever.
would ask, where is it? Where, if that something was in your body, somewhere in your body, then where would it be? And then the person says, well, okay, I feel it that it's in my leg or in my belly or solar plexus, in the head. It doesn't matter. It's somewhere in the body. And the and it is possible, and that's what I learned in the first 10 years of letting go. I learned this from a wonderful lady. She's a Polish psychologist, Mrs. Daniela Czarska, and she went on a similar journey because she wanted to discover methods to help herself as she grew up uh, in the well, she was growing up through the Second World War, and it wasn't easy back then. And this search for a method to help herself took her to on a journey where eventually she discovered that all the beliefs, everything that mind knows, is represented by some sort of shape. Mind can perceive um, something through an information that it believes in through a shape. It can also perceive emotions through certain shapes. And when she discovered this, she also found that what would happen if I would take this. So, for example, if I would say that I see something in my head, I don't know, an elephant representing such and such belief, and I take this elephant and throw it away, then what I'm doing is I'm giving my mind an instruction that I no longer want this information in the mind. And she found that when this happens, the mind simply erases the information.
So it's
It
the
is
images
no
are a way
longer
to
present.
access that information.
Yes, and exactly, the image is a method of accessing this information. That is exactly true. So images are sort of, or the symbols, the visual representation that we see is just the information at the level of the mind as perceived by the conscious mind. That's all it is. And once the information is at the level of the conscious mind, then I can decide what I'm going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can literally symbolically, I'm grabbing it, taking it out, and I'm throwing it away. And by this, I am giving the mind information that I decided I don't want this information anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to forget, because anybody who tried to forget anything, knows that it is impossible to just say, I want to forget this, I want to forget this, I want to forget this. That's not how
Right.
this works. But actually, the mind erases information all the time. I mean, I don't remember what happened yesterday. I don't remember what I had for lunch 3 days ago. I don't. So the mind has this natural capability to erase information. So, so when
Mm-hmm.
I so by combining this natural ability of the mind with this skill that everybody have, that they can just see the information as objects, mental object, and just
Mm-hmm.
decide I don't want it. You're just saying, okay, mind, please apply this skill that you have of forgetting, you know, associated with this information.
Right. You're
And
telling it it's not important. This can get rid of it versus trying to forget it, which is in essence giving it more energy, and you're telling it it is important, which
yeah,
doesn't work, right?
exactly, exactly.
You had so when we did this together, it reminded me of Apple Computer, because Apple came out and they really gave everybody this awesome interface to be able to do cool computer stuff. And the same with Microsoft. They gave us an interface. Not that the programming wasn't always there way before Microsoft or Apple came out with their interfaces, but their way of getting to the information of the computer to get the computer to do stuff, their way made it easier for everybody to get to. And that's what it reminded me of being with you and this letting go process. I was able to access these things and to remove things. I forget what we worked on, but it was, these things that bother me, this a scarcity issue that I have, that I know, like I know that God and spirit, source is taking care of me. And yet I'll stress about, is there going to be enough in the future, when I know that there's going to be enough? There's always been enough. I've never lacked ever in my life. And so how do I access that information? How do I access where that wheel of there's not going to be enough is turning, turning, turning? And this helped me get there and access that.
Yes, exactly. I would say that Daniela, she gave us this technology that we can visualize the data of the mind. I just took it a little bit further because for me, her method is just wonderful, and I've been using this for 10 years with her. Literally, we've been working together for 10 years, and I eventually became certified in her method. Um, but later on, I kind of had like this hunch that I want to just be on my own, and then I started working on, um, trying to make this method simpler, and trying to uh, create a method which can address even more vast areas of the mind. And that was the breakthrough happened what wasn't that long ago, maybe 2 years ago. I heard about this thing called surrender, and I was driving my car, just ordinary day, nothing special, driving my car, listening to David Hawkins, and David Hawkins was talking about surrender. And he said, well, the fact is that you can surrender stuff to the divine, and when you surrender stuff to the divine, it's going to be resolved for you. And I was like, sure, all right.
Yeah,
you
right.
know
Too easy.
yeah, right, yeah. So obviously I surrendered to the only thing that I made very little progress on, some progress, but not all of it, and that was a relationship with my mom. um so in that moment I said, okay, I surrender this to this relationship with my mother. I surrender it to the divinity, even though that at the time I had no idea what I was doing. And nothing happened initially, but a few weeks later, again, I'm driving the same car, going through the same roundabout, and suddenly I had this flash. As I'm going through roundabout, I just saw my entire life in the context of my relationship with my mother. Um, just everything the way she was with me, which wasn't pleasant. And as I was going for the roundabout, I saw that if it wouldn't be for her, I would never be so screw up in my early 20s. And that means I would never look for the methods to help myself. That means I would never find Daniela, and I found her from miraculously. That's the story for a different podcast, perhaps. Um, I would never find Daniela if it wouldn't be for my mother, because I would never be screwed up. I would never find David Hawkins. I would never find out about enlightenment. I would never find Course in Miracles. I would never be who I was back then. And quite frankly, I am happy with myself, who I am. And mind that this is all happening while I'm going through this small roundabout, so roughly a second and a half. And as I'm going through this roundabout, as I was leaving the roundabout, all I had for my mother was just tremendous uh, thankfulness. I was just so grateful. I was so grateful for the role she played, for important, amazingly important role that she played. So by the time I was leaving the roundabout, I had only gratefulness, and I was crying. I was the tears were just flowing
Yeah.
like rain from my eyes. And in this moment, I realized, oh my God, this surrender thing, it's working, you know. And that was amazing breakthrough for me. So over the course of next few weeks, as I was exploring this whole surrender process, I found out about the Holy Spirit, the higher self, the divinity within, and I read more of Course in Miracles. I found out that what I received, what happened was is called Holy Instant in the Course in Miracles, and it's just, and I was just amazed, So for over the period of next few weeks or months, I started wondering. I was like, I wonder if I visualize something like, for example, a system of information responsible for, let's say, being poor. Okay, if so, I would ask myself this question: if there was a system of information within my mind which creates certain behaviors, certain that directs me this way, not that way, makes me decide this way, not that way, against abundance, against, for example, health, or against being happy in a relationship, then what would be the symbol of that compound, that system of beliefs and information?
Hmm.
And I would get this, and I was like, okay, I wonder, now that I have the symbol of it, I wonder if I can surrender that symbol
What's an
to the
example?
Holy Spirit.
Give an
Yeah.
example of what's the symbol? What would be a symbol if you had to
I
come
don't
up with one
know.
right now?
Could be a ball. Could be a ball, an
Anything, right?
orange.
Yeah.
Anything can be
Yeah.
anything, because the mind has it has its own unique language of storing this information.
Yeah.
So then what happened? I surrendered that symbol, and because I did it so many times, I just felt that this was resolved.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. So now I have this tool of where I spent like 13 years learning how to, identify whole vast systems of information within the mind, not just my mind, but other people's minds, through asking questions, just through
Mhm.
asking questions. Um, and and the resolution of the error within that system of information is not up to me. I can just surrender it, and there is this higher power in Course in Miracles is called Holy Spirit, and I can surrender it to the Holy Spirit, and it corrects all the errors. And actually, Course in Miracles calls this restoration of right-mindedness.
Uh,
And I was like, wow. So, and then I was like, but surely maybe this only works for me. Maybe, maybe I don't have anything in here. Maybe this is just placebo. Maybe, maybe it was for me, but surely it doesn't work for other people. And so about a year and a half ago, I created this group on Facebook called Deep Surrender Method.
deep
Um,
surrender method.
yeah, Deep Surrender Method. Yeah. And yeah, and since then I started working with people for free, because, well, I didn't feel like taking money for it, because I didn't feel like the method, you know is mine, to take money for it. But then I started working with people for free, and then people would bring more people, and but suddenly I had so many people for whom I was working for free, and then I realized, oh my God, I need at least to ask for donations, because I
Right.
don't have money to pay bills, because it started competing with my job.
Right.
Uh, yeah, that's the story of the method, and
Yeah.
I still do it. I still do it I still offer free sessions for anybody who wants to experience it. If you
Right.
want to experience it, just you can talk to me. I'll give you a free session. If you
Yeah.
like it, great. You can take it for free. I don't expect anything in return. Uh, if you want to come back, come back.
Right.
I always
Is
say it.
that
I always say it. Yeah.
how do we find you? Is that thepowertoletgo.com? Is that the best way to find you?
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. Powertoletgo.com. I will place a link there. Yeah, in a contact section, because I only started to build this website and thinking about it more seriously. So I don't know at what stage people will be listening to this, but I guess if there's anybody who would like to find me, they will be able to find me.
Or Deep Surrender Method, the Facebook group? Is that
Yeah. So
a private group, right?
yeah, it is. It is a private group. It is a private group. And well, the method, sorry, the group, the yeah, the group is Deep Surrender Method, but also it's called Letting Go Methods of Surrender. Uh, but I might change it again because. But anyway, anybody who wants to find me will find me through Facebook or through Power to Let Go website. There will
Okay,
be a link.
that's good. So back to the restoration of right-mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were to restore to right-mindedness, which assumes that if we're restoring, it means at one point we had right-mindedness, and through our own stories and through our own taking things on that didn't work and not knowing how to let them go, right? We needed some assistance to restore right-mindedness, and this letting go method is absolutely one of a wonderful one of those assistances for us um, to be restored to right-mindedness. What is the outcome of being restored to right-mindedness? What are we experiencing when that happens?
Well, I suppose maybe we should ask you, what did you experience? Well, you had one session. I had probably hundreds, but we can compare notes. I guess. Um, well, most of the time when I'm working with people, what they tell me, I know that we arrived at the end of the session when they tell me I am at peace.
Mm,
So the
mhm,
restoration of right-mindedness is when I am at peace. And
mhm,
actually, for me, the peace and the joy and love,
mhm,
this is like the canvas. For me, this is the background. And if I notice within myself that anything um, uh, which disturbs this peacefulness, this joyfulness and lovingness, and then at this moment I know I have something to let go of.
mhm,
So when I'm working with people, we are addressing whole stacks of information, whole vast areas of information, because the mind is not made of the content of the mind is not made just of beliefs and emotions, but actually these beliefs and emotions, they create the whole systems uh, which instruct the mind how to behave in this situation, how to behave in that situation, how to feel about this, how to feel about that, and so on and so on. So the feedback that I most often get from people is that, okay, I am at peace. I'm at peace, or I feel joyful, and that is well, until the next stuck comes up,
right.
and and there's more to let go.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I really enjoyed our session, and that was certainly an outcome that I received. Was once it was like an energetic or um, a a current had been going to keep me in kind of a unpeaceful place. It was using a bunch of energy. And when I let go of the story that, um, one of many stories that I've had, like there's scarcity, there's not going to be enough, or I'm not going to be enough. Those are some big ones that I've had. When I surrender it, there's just a bunch of energy that's available for me, because it took a lot of energy to run those circuits, those patterns, uh, those loops. They're going all the time. And so it felt wonderful for me. Not only peace, but for me, the peace is this backdrop, almost, that this loving energy that does work in and through me. It sits on, kind of thing. And I can't have this loving reaching out and healing and creating thing in the world unless it's nestled on this thing of peace. For me, that's how it's structured in my mind anyway. And so that your thing really facilitated that. So thank you for that gift.
Thanks. Thank you, Jevon, for this wonderful feedback. And yeah, you described perfectly the mind's mechanism, the mind's content. Yeah, the mind will play and replay this kind of things, the scarcity of. I'm sure that there are more people who experience the same thing until I decide otherwise.
Right.
And
Or at least
uh,
become willing, right? That was one of the first things
yeah,
you asked me. Are you willing?
are you willing? Are
Yeah.
you willing to let go? Yes, the method actually rests on I like to call them 4 pillars of the method. The willingness to let go, the ability, that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is the ability to identify that which I want to let go. And pillar number 3 is the surrender of that which I just identified. And that pillar number 4 is just allowingness. It is the allowingness for the correction of the error to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
it is important to know that I don't correct anything. It is the higher power which corrects the errors at the level of the mind. And
Mm-hmm.
my role in this whole process is with step number 2 to help you identify what you, at the level of the mind, what is it that you want to let go. You are responsible for number 1, the willingness. I'm responsible for number 2. I know I want to help you identify this. You then, the step number 3, you surrender, and that's only you can surrender. And then number 4 is the allowingness. And allowingness is just this trust that higher power has my back. And I've done it so many times. I can't even tell you how many times I've done it. And the outcome of this sessions is just amazing. I mean, I I love letting go. I love letting go. I love to be just fall. You know, this experiment where people just fall and they want to be catched. You know, and that's how I feel every time I let go. I'm just saying like, God, I'm falling. Please catch me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just the best feeling. The
Mm-hmm.
best feeling. And it feels like God is just always there to catch me. And
It's almost like God is always there to catch you. Well, wouldn't that be great, right?
it
Wait a
just
minute.
that's how it feels.
Yeah, it's good. So, so let's wrap this up. And I'd like one takeaway that I got from you that I've been using a lot, and then maybe you can give us a takeaway. So this is what I got from you. I got that uh, everything that's coming to me is uh, really to serve me. It's all been here to serve me. Even the things I consider dark and painful, they, they've been tireless servants. What I considered enemies, and darkness, fear, anger, or the vehicles of that. They really have been here. The intention from that they have been here is to serve me. And so, if I greet them with fear and anger or whatever it is, I'm actually going to strengthen it and get it more stuck. But if I can thank them and then invite them to go back to the light, right, which was part of our exercise, go back to the light, release them. It's, and then your exercise, right? You just throw it in, grab it, and throw it in the light, throw it in the light. And I'm like, wow, I can greet everything as my friends, and I can thank them and to say, go back to the light. Your service is done. And I've been doing that all over and over and over again. it's been it's been incredible. Is there something, well, for everybody listening? We can go to powertoletgo.com and we can do a session with you. But before we do that, is there something that we can do, a mini exercise, such as I just said that I've been doing without you,
Mhm.
that can give us a glimpse of this kind of experience of letting go and the peace that ensues when we are willing and do let go and allow?
Depends how much time do we have. Perhaps I could show your listeners a meditation that I'm using to get in touch with the higher self.
Is this
It
a
might take a minute or 2 minutes maybe.
okay? Yeah, let's do that. I like that.
Okay, so let me guide you, and this is actually the part of the process, part of the method, and it goes like this. Um, so wherever you are right now, if you can, um, y- check if it's okay. Check if you're feeling safe, if everything around you is okay. Check if you are comfortably seated, if you are comfortably dressed, and then shift your attention to yourself and get in touch with yourself as much as you want, as much as you need. And when you're ready, start breathing through your nose. And as you are inhaling through your nose, focus your entire attention on that sensation of the air coming in through your nose and breathe normally. You don't need to hyperventilate, just breathe normally through your nose. And when you are ready, expand your awareness even more and notice that when you inhale, your chest goes up, and stay focused on these two elements, the chest and the nose. And when you are ready, expand your awareness even more and include your heart. Notice that it beats when you breathe. Breathe normally and remain focused on these three elements, the heart, the chest, and the nose. And when you are ready, expand your awareness even more and become aware of your entire body. Just let go. Sometimes this feels like your whole body is breathing with you, like every cell of your body is breathing. Now, the next step is to to realize that during this method, we will be working with the higher self or the Holy Spirit, however you choose to call it. Um, and this divinity within, because it is your Holy Spirit, your higher self, has the utmost respect for your own decisions. And as such, nothing really happens without your consent. So if you are ready to be in touch with your higher self, let it known by saying, I am ready to be in touch with my higher self.
Hmm, I'm ready.
And if you are open to be in touch with your higher self, let it known by saying, I am open to be in touch with my higher self.
Hmm.
The next step is that imagine that there is a bright white column of white light representing your higher self, and that column shines from above, and you are in it. And as you are in this bright white column of white light, just when you're ready and if you want, start inhaling this light from above of your head to the inside of your head. Just keep inhaling the light from above of your head to the inside of your head until your head fills up completely with this bright white light of the higher self. Very good. Very well. At your exhale, whenever you're ready, move some of that light from the inside of your head to your belly. So you are inhaling the light from above of your head to the inside of your head and then exhaling it to your belly. And continue breathing the light and filling up your body with the light if that's okay. Keep breathing normally, keep inhaling the light. There's really no limit to how much of this light you can take. In fact, you can take all of the light. And if you would like to take all of the light, then you can just have this intention that with your next breath and the breath after and after, you will keep inhaling all of the light. And now, when you're ready, just have this deep inhale and take all of the light, if that's okay. So much so that if you looked at yourself from outside, you would witness yourself as this being made of light. And now, as you are in this peaceful state, this now that you are in touch with your higher self, notice that this light has very interesting properties. Perhaps there are some parts of your body which need healing. And if that's the case, what you can do, if you want, of course, just allow the light to reach all of the parts of your body which need this healing, which need this light, and just allow. There's nothing special you need to do. Just allow and keep inhaling the light. And if you want, you can remain in this state and keep inhaling the light. And if there is perhaps any emotion popping into your awareness, then you can do this. Just suppose this emotion, wherever you felt it, suppose this looked like a mist somewhere in your body. What would be the color of this mist? Now that you see it, just focus the light of the higher self on that mist and witness as it dissolves into the light. And in fact, you can do this with every emotion, whether it's fear, shame, guilt, anger, whatever. If you feel an emotion and if you are in this state, you can just visualize this emotion. You can witness the emotion visually. And once you are at the level of the witness of the mind, the witness of your emotion, you can then decide what you're going to do with it. And if you decide to surrender it to the light, it will be dissolved. And maybe you will notice that as it is dissolved in your mind, the emotion, the experience of that emotion in your body will also change, will also dissipate. That's it. That is the quick presentation of the introduction to the method. I hope it wasn't too long.
That was good. It was nice. Feel very relaxed. Well, Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate your 15 years of practicing your letting go method to get it right. And it's about time you showed up, man. Been waiting for you for 15 years. So,
Thanks, Jevon. You're so kind.
so the author of the method of letting go, called Deep Surrender. You can find once again Robert on Deep Surrender Method, which is a Facebook group that you can search for. You can find Robert at powertoletgo.com, and I will put some links so that we can track you down. Do that free session with him. If you feel moved, you can give him a donation, because I think he's going to make the link available. And um, and thank you for your service. Thank you for being one of the guides that are helping us point the way. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Jevon, for allowing me to be your guest and for allowing me to share my knowledge to the people that uh, you know. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right.